All right,
now
now we're recording.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so
Yeah.
some better math here is if you understand that there's a deep felt customer need, and then you have a patient salesperson with the right solution, well, the math is completely different because now the customer feels like you helped them and you did what you set out to do in the first place, which was to help a person. And money changed hands, but nobody's even thinking about the money because what you did is you solved the problem. And presumably the cost of it was well worth whatever the relief of pain that the customer was having. You didn't have to convince them of anything. All you had to do was understand what their need was and bring them a suitable solution.
Go back to the other math so we make sure we have that on the recording.
Okay.
I just want to make sure everybody else gets a chance.
So for those that joined and missed the beginning, I started with an example of the market. This is a picture of Tijuana and what it's like to be in a crowded market with pushy shop owners trying to get you to see their stuff. And then the first math equation that Kim was talking about was excited salesperson with great products combined with a disinterested buyer equals misery for everybody involved. And then the comparison to that was a deep felt customer need with a patient salesperson and suitable solutions equals a great experience for everyone. So I start with this to set the stage because if you go into an engagement with somebody, maybe you just meet them for the first time, or maybe it's somebody that you met already and they've come back for a second visit and they want to talk to you a little bit more. You should all be about trying to understand where they are. What is the pain that they are feeling? And the reality is this is completely opposite of what we often think of is what you're really trying to do is disqualify people. You're like, wait a minute, I thought we were trying to sell them something. No, selling is actually the byproduct of a well-organized patient engagement with someone that you actually treat them like you care about them. And if you find someone who is just not interested, and granted, there might be like an immediate distraction, like something was going on in the background and they just put you off. Okay, bear with that kind of thing. But if you find someone that is genuinely just not interested, your time is too valuable to waste trying to convince them of something that they don't want. You are becoming the Tijuana shop owner if you do that. And you don't want to do that. So disqualify. Ask questions. If they have no resonance at all with what your products, with your health products and skin products provide, then don't waste your time. Your time is more valuable than that. And this is a little bit hard to get your head around at first, but if you will go into your engagements with potential customers, prospects, with a recognition that your time is at least as valuable as theirs, it will completely change your mindset. Because now, if all you want to do is convince them, what you're really saying is my time isn't worth anything. I can spend as much of it as I need to. But if you go into it kind of commanding respect for your time and respecting that their time is worth something as well, you can get to this question very quickly of whether or not they are a prospect that is going to ever actually buy anything. So focus on disqualifying until proven otherwise. All right, so I know Kim talked about this last time. She told me she did. I didn't hear exactly what she said, but I trust that she covered it quite well. And I think you promised that you're going to do one.
I have my example.
But not yet. Not yet. Let me spell out the template of it. Okay, so a 30-second commercial, all it's meant to do is to start the conversation. You can't qualify or disqualify someone until you're talking to them. And so there's that awkward, you just met somebody, you have at least some sense that they might be a prospect, and it's an appropriate time to talk to them about it. A 30-second commercial is a way to dangle out something and see if they have any interest at all. It's a very quick way where you can filter out maybe 50% of your prospects within 60 seconds and not waste any more time than that. So what is a 30-second commercial? Kim said she went through this. So first of all, it's an introduction. An introduction is who you are, as in what's your name and who you represent. Independent consultant for Arbonne, I think is what you would say for that first part. One sentence. I'm telling you, no more than one sentence, because if you go more than one sentence, you've lost them. They immediately feel like it's an infomercial. Instead, it's one sentence about the value that you provide to people. Now, I'm going to let Kim give her example, and I would butcher one, but something to the effect of, we help people. I'm not even going to try. We help people with their health and with their skin or whatever. I'll let you do that. All right,
Yep.
or do that.
Do you want me to read it?
Not yet.
No, okay.
Okay, then the second part of it. So that part, number one, you should be done with that in under 10 seconds. It's very quick. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, no selling words in the first, like, we're the leading company, we've got the best products. Like, no, none of that. You're not selling anything at this point. You're just introducing who you are. Secondly, we typically serve two types of customers. Okay, well, now you might be thinking, why two types of customers? Because this is setting the stage to see if this person wants to be drawn in or not. So typically, the two types of customers are, one, those already on the journey, and then you'll get to define what the journey looks like and want to go further, right? So we serve people who are already health-minded and want to expand the ways that they do that, or something to that effect. So people already on the journey. The second, and this is the important part, because these are oftentimes the people that you're speaking to, especially in this industry, is those that are experiencing pain. And in parentheses you see there, you're going to list 2 to 3 of the common pains. And we talked about it before. Can you tell me what were the common pains people feel?
Well, there's lots of different ones. I mean, we talk about the pain, like tired all the time.
Yeah.
They've gained weight they can't get rid of, have acne, or their skin is getting wrinkled, brain fog, headaches, insomnia.
Okay, so you don't want to go on too much, but
Right.
you would probably pick the 2 or 3 that like almost everybody you talk to could relate to. And you might even want to throw in some emotional words. You're tired of being tired, or you're exhausted with your health, or you're done with weight loss programs, whatever it is, right? You're tapping into the emotion of what people feel like that you have helped in the past. Okay, so just recap there. The second part, serve 2 types of customers, those that are already on the journey, and the other group are people who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then the last part is just a hook question that says, do either of these categories sound like you? Now, look, this is not meant to be prescriptive. You, of course, can make this your own, make it feel like your own words, but take the gist of it. And the importance of the third part is, this is where the qualification begins. If they say, no, not really, I'm headed to McDonald's, see you later, you only spent 30 seconds with them, and you didn't waste any more of your time for somebody that wants to go be supersized, okay? Like, just let it go. You're not going to talk that person into it, or if you did, it wouldn't be worth the trouble to do it. But if they do, like, yeah, I exercise 10 times a week, and I eat really well and stuff, I'd be interested to hear about your price. Okay, you're in the category number 1. Or, yeah, I am just awful and I can't get out of bed anymore. Okay, you now have discovered the first layer of pain, which we'll get to on the next chart. So Kim's going to give her example of a 30-second commercial.
Holly, did you do this last time at our meeting last time when we did it together?
Yeah, I did. I remember
Okay.
we were all kind of working on it together, so I remember that.
Yeah. Okay, so the one that I wrote is, hi, I'm Kimberly Millhouse. I'm an independent consultant with Arbonne. And hold on, I'm trying to read my writing. And I empower people to thrive through healthy nutrition skincare. I actually changed it. It says I build a relationship with people to empower them to thrive through healthy nutrition skincare. Typically, we work with two types of clients. The first type, frankly, is happy with their health, but they want to go a little farther with what they want to. Actually, I didn't write this very well, so
That's okay.
kind of what you said was good. They want to go further and explore new options for nutritional and healthy, clean skincare products. Second type of client that I work with is typically not is really dissatisfied with their lack of health. They may be feeling frustrated by the lack of energy, a concern with long-term health issues. They are upset because they don't have answers, and they're under pressure to make life work and pay their bills. And they don't really see the results. They don't see the doctors having results for them. Do you find either of those? Do you find yourself fitting in either one of those categories? Or do you relate to either one of those categories that I mentioned?
So that's great. I mean, you've hit all the main content, and we obviously, since you're going to be doing this on the fly, you want it to feel very unscripted. You want it to feel like you're just talking about your kids or something. So you want to kind of iron it out, not use words you don't normally say, but you got the content exactly right. And even though it's called a 30-second commercial, somewhere between 20 and 60, it's fine, right? It's not meant to be that prescriptive, but it is meant to be brief. And it's meant to not make somebody feel like, when is this going to be over, right? Because now you've gone into the selling mode when you're really just supposed to be qualifying at that point. Holly, did you want to try yours, or I didn't pre-coordinate that with you, so if you're not ready to, we
No,
don't.
it's okay. I don't even have it here.
You don't have it here. Okay.
I do have it in front of me.
I've learned from my experience that even though you might feel silly doing it, practice it over and over and over and over again,
Yeah.
so that it does come out, and practice it without your paper, just so you use words that you would normally use and it would flow, right? And the first 10 times you do it, it's going to be awkward and stumbly. And then on the 20th time, all of a sudden, it's just going to feel like a paragraph that you can speak very easily. Are you letting someone in?
Yep, I'm letting someone in. It's Hannah.
Okay.
Let's see if she's there. Hi, Hannah. Let's see if she shows up. All right. All right.
Wanna keep going?
Yep, keep going.
Okay.
I think she's joined us.
All right. So to remind you, the hook question at the end is the beginning of the discovery of pain. Remember my math equation. If you have genuine customer need, also known as pain, and by the way, don't take pain to be negative all the time. It doesn't mean that you're physically in pain, although in your line of work, that is true a lot of times. People are physically in pain. But a lot of times the pain might be other forms. If you're talking to somebody that's considering becoming a consultant, their pain is totally different. It might be financial pain, right? Or it might be wish I could work from home pain or whatever, right? And so, everything I'm saying here applies not only to the product, but also to becoming a part of what Arbonne does. Okay, so let's talk about pain. If I told you that the whole point of what you're doing with talking to people is to discover pain so that you can then bring an answer to that pain, well, then having some kind of a systematic way to discover pain is really, really helpful. All right, so again, this is not meant to be prescriptive, but I think the more you look at this, you'll find that it pretty nicely peels back the layers of pain that somebody might be feeling. So I think maybe the best way to do this would be to role play with Kim. And actually I'm gonna role play with Holly. I didn't prepare any of this with Holly. Okay, but I want you to pretend to be a potential prospect, and don't be a hostile prospect. Be somebody that, you're gonna be a category 2 person from the last chart where you said
You're frustrated by your health.
you're frustrated with your health.
And doctors don't have the answers.
And doctors, okay. And so when I said, does either of these categories sound like you? You said, yeah, the second one does. Okay. All right. So you ready to role play, Holly?
Sure, I'm gonna do my best.
All right. So it sounds like you are maybe dealing with health problems. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
I'm frustrated with my weight, I just feel like I can't get on top of it, but I feel like the weight is just a product of healthy choices that I've made for years. I don't sleep well, I have bad headaches, I'm not happy with my skin, and I'm tired of just feeling not satisfied with myself.
Okay, so Holly did me a favor. She just covered 1, 2, and 3 for me, right? I didn't have to ask her for an example.
I'm a good prospect.
Yeah, yes, you're good,
You're
Holly.
amazing. Wow.
I love you.
You don't have to make it that easy, Holly. You can be a little bit, ornery with me if you want. Okay, but she gave me an example, right? She's not sleeping well. She's got skin issues. Sounds like she's been battling with weight for a long time. And you gave me a sense for how long it's been a problem. Maybe I would come back and say, it sounds like you've been dealing with this for a while. Roughly, when did it start?
I would say a few years ago, after I had a couple kids and I just couldn't seem to bounce back physically or hormonally how I hoped to.
Okay, great. Okay, so now I know she's been dealing with this for a few years. It's run up a tab in her mind of, what have I missed out on because of all the stuff that I've been feeling. All right, let's keep going, Holly. So given that you've been dealing with this for a few years, what have you tried to do about it?
Well, I looked on Pinterest and I found different clean eating recipes and I found workout routines and I found different things to try and self-help myself. It just didn't seem to work out how I hoped it would.
Okay. Why did it not work?
I feel like it was a lot harder than I thought, and I just didn't have the discipline and accountability to stick with it.
Okay. Now, over the course, we're being offered sweets at the same time we're talking about this, Holly. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So over the course of these couple of years of trying different things, do you have any sense for how much it cost you? Like, did you have to try a bunch of new, you have to buy a bunch of new groceries, expensive groceries? Maybe did you try any other programs or anything like that?
Yeah, I tried different diet plans. They just didn't work out. They didn't seem to fit my needs. I wasn't getting the results I wanted, and I'm just tired of feeling like everything I tried didn't.
It sounds like you've kind of been through the ringer on that, Holly. Give me a sense for what that made you feel like when you were in the midst of it, or maybe even right now.
I just feel really discouraged, and I just wonder if I'll ever be able to get on top of it. And I'm a little cynical of people that think they have the right solution for me.
Okay. All right. So you kind of already answered my last one. So do you see what we did now granted, that was a little bit probably accelerated, but within 3 minutes, not including my little sidebar discussions, I just discovered that Holly is, first of all, very much a candidate for what Arbonne does. I've learned that she's tried a whole bunch of stuff, that none of it worked, that she's pretty much exhausted with trying, and she's now kind of cynical. Okay. If I had started trying to talk to you about Arbonne before I knew any of that, it would have been a disaster, right? I probably would have stepped on every single landmine that is inside of your heart about all of this stuff. And it would have been over before it ever even started. Can we get Hannah to participate, or are you able to talk, Hannah?
She has little ones with her, so I'm not sure if she can, but maybe.
Oh, there you go. Try it, but there's no.
You can try it. Okay, so I'm going to have Kim interview you.
Oh boy. Okay.
Or I should probably make Holly do it, since she's been on the other side of this now. Hannah, did you see how we set this up to begin with? In terms of what kind of a customer you would be, or a prospect you would be?
I missed that, unfortunately.
Okay. So we serve two different kinds of, you'll have to go back and watch the recording that Paul talks about making your 30-second commercial to kind of qualify your the person that you're talking about to, actually your goal is to disqualify them. So you're not wasting your time. You're valuing and respecting your time as valuable as theirs. So you're trying to figure out, do they fit into one or two categories? And the categories are, we typically work with two types of clients. The first type is, people that are really on the road to health. They really feel good about themselves, and they're just looking for other ways to make, to improve their health through clean nutrition and skincare products. And the other type of client we work with are people who are really just honestly frustrated by their lack of health. They're upset because they don't have answers to how to lose weight, to feel better. They're under pressure to make life work while they're feeling terrible, or pay the bills. And they're really not seeing results because doctors don't have answers, and programs that they've tried haven't really helped them. So do you see yourself in either one of those categories?
I probably would be more the first one with I feel pretty healthy and pretty good about where we're going.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
Perfect.
I wanted you to be that person, Hannah.
Oh, okay.
So, all right.
So
now,
Holly's going to do it? Make her do it. Don't make me do it.
all right, Holly. Looks like you've been designated. You're gonna what is it? I show you one, and then you got to teach one,
Show
right?
one,
So
teach one.
now you're teaching one. So Hannah's in the other category. She's on the journey,
Okay.
but she's not going to buy just because she's on the journey. In fact, she's probably feeling pretty secure about her journey right now.
Okay.
So your job's a little harder this time to find the pain. Go for it.
All right. Okay, Hannah. So tell me, what are you doing that's working for you? What do you enjoy? Tell me what you're up to.
I feel like I have my eating habits pretty well underway. We've been gluten-free for several years, and that's made us feel a lot better. And so we feel like we kind of have a handle on our health now with that. And my husband works out a lot, and he's a fitness coach, so that's helped us with that part of it. So we just feel like we're doing well on our journey.
No.
Okay, so you've been pretty specific with me. I appreciate that. How long have you been looking into your health, and how long has your husband been working out?
All right. Sorry. So he's been doing CrossFit for about the past 4 years now, and is a coach. And we've been having a cleaner diet for the past 6 years.
So Holly, let me interrupt because you're needing something that I haven't covered tonight, and we don't have time to get into all of this.
Okay.
But you're dealing with somebody who's very satisfied, and so you need a slightly different set of tools here to figure out where the pain is.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Kim brought this up with you last time, but there's something called a negative reverse, and I'll just very quickly try to demonstrate with Hannah. So it would go something like this. It would be, Hannah, you seem really satisfied with your program. It sounds amazing. I'm guessing that there's probably nothing that you need to round out that program.
Well, we haven't been really thrilled with the options for vegan protein.
Aha! We just found a pain. You see what happened? I over-complimented her system, and she was like, oh, no, it's not that good, right? And it's exactly the opposite of what a salesperson is expected to do, right? And if she had, by the way, said, yeah, you're right, it's good. You know what? You're done. Don't waste your time. She's not going to buy anything from you, right? So that was great. So now you get to take it back, Holly. She is not happy with her vegan products.
Okay.
You're probably, Holly, about what have you tried to do about that? Maybe what things have you tried before?
Yeah, now drill into the vegan product stuff.
Okay, yeah. Okay, what vegan products have you tried, or what have you noticed about the vegan products that you've tried that you're not happy with?
Good.
Well, I only tried one, and it had soy in it, and I'm not a fan of soy. My husband's been using a whey protein, but I can't have whey with the baby, so we're just kind of at an in-between because I need something else to help supplement my diet with nursing and being on a healthier, cleaner diet. I'm not getting as much as I need. But I also don't want the soy products as well.
Mhm. Do you feel like you have invested a lot in trying to find the right protein for you?
I'm a pretty frugal person, so I haven't invested a ton, but I have definitely looked at cost, and the cost is a big factor for me.
Okay. Do I jump to the last question now? I don't even know.
Yeah, I think you have, because you
Okay.
know,
Have you given up trying to find a solution to your problem?
I haven't given up, but I'm not actively looking. We're just kind of coasting.
Well, would you be open to hearing about Arbonne's vegan protein?
Do you have any samples that I could try?
No.
That's what I did to Elizabeth.
No.
No, I don't.
Well then.
So that was really, really good, Holly.
That's great.
And Hannah, that, you know, you provided a great example of somebody that didn't play along quite as well as Holly did, because Holly just walked straight into what, you know, where you want it to go. But Hannah, you gave some of the twists and turns, which are going to be much more realistic on that.
Mhm.
So again, your goal here is to try to identify where the pain is. Where there's no pain, there's I mean, be friends with them, love them, of course, you know, relate to them, but just stop trying to sell them something, because all you're going to do is sour the relationship if that's what you do. And when somebody has a deep, genuine need, they're looking for a solution to it. And again, like I said before, the transfer of money becomes secondary, you know, assuming it's a fair price, to be able to satisfy that overall need. So that's all I had for tonight. There's a whole bunch more. By the way, I meant to say, I didn't make all this stuff up. The training that I've received is from a group called Sandler, and I found this is their diagram. I found it online, so I'm not copyright infringing anything. But you know, Sandler gets all the credit for this way of thinking, although I think there's lots of programs that think that way. And if it's worth your while, I don't mind coming back and sharing other things on future meetings. And if you didn't like it, then just tell Kim to tell me not to come back.
No, it was good. Thanks, Paul. It was really good.
There was one other thing that you were talking about the other day of what people were willing to spend money on. What was that when you were in the hierarchy? There you go. Once you know customers' deep pain, you know what they're willing to buy. So sell it to them.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot I had this last chart. You know, if you noticed in the pain funnel, they're getting more and more personal the further down you go. You're now discovering you're going from generic topical problems to things that they're personally wrestling with. Holly, when you were role playing with me, you kind of spilled your guts with me. You were like, I'm at my wit's end. I'm done with this. I'm pretty much resigned to the fact the rest of my life I'm just going to be unhealthy, right? Wow. I mean, you need to share the gospel with that person. You need to share a lot of things with that person, right? Because they have now opened themselves up completely to you in that. And it's the questions and the way you're doing it. It can be very disarming. If you do some of those reverses that I was doing with Hannah, it builds trust, because you're not the slimy salesperson trying to just weasel your way in. You're genuinely willing to walk away from it if there's no interest. But if there is mutual interest, then you're here to help.
Talk about staying left of your customer or your client. Or is that too long of a teaching?
How much?
It's 8:07, so we need to quit in about 15 minutes.
15 minutes. Well, let me ask if there's any questions on what we've covered so far, and then I'll touch on that if you want.
I don't think so. It's pretty self-explanatory, I think. It's good. I'm gonna have to practice a lot of it.
It requires practice.
Yeah.
It really does. But once you get the hang of it, you'll never go back.
Yeah. It's good.
You will never go back, because it's so much more fun to do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It reflects a genuine concern for the person rather than them just being somebody to sell something to. So Kim was alluding to a little bit ago, 4 reasons people buy, well, not 4 reasons, but people will buy first for immediate pain, let's see if I can think of an example. If your car is broken down and you're on the side of the highway, you will pay for a tow right now, and you probably pay pretty much whatever it costs, right? Immediate pain, people will buy immediately for that. Next in line is future pain. People will buy to avoid future pain or to solve future pain. So that might be the equivalent of buying the AAA membership so that you get free towing next time you break down on the side of the road. Third reason, or moving down in terms of priority of buying, would be current pleasure. And then last would be future pleasure. So selling something that you will benefit from 10 years from now is going to be very, very, very hard to convince somebody to spend money to do that. Current pleasure, maybe a little bit easier. Future pain, a little bit easier. And then the thing people will buy most readily for is current pain. So current pain, future pain, current pleasure, future pleasure. And I share that because if, as you're moving through the pain questions, you're not really discovering anything in the pain category, very unlikely you'll probably be able to sell anything. So just don't make that part of the equation anymore. Disqualify, right?
After, if the future pain or current pain or future pain don't pan out, then
yeah, I mean,
they're not looking for pleasure.
They're not looking. You're right.
They're not going to pay for pleasure.
Right, and I'm not sure Arbonne's products fall in the category of pleasure.
Not really.
They bring pleasure because they relieve pain. They allow, right, but they're not. They're not. I can't think of an example. But, all right.
So the other thing I wanted you to just briefly mention is
Staying left.
Yeah, and I need you to teach it to me again because I don't get it.
Okay.
I'm trying.
All right. So the term staying left doesn't make sense unless you see the diagram. So you'll have to imagine this. But if you imagine a pendulum, let's see, left for you is over here, right? Okay. So a pendulum where on the far left-hand side is the customer is no way, I'm disinterested, go away, I don't want to talk to you. And the far right-hand side is I'm ready to buy, I love it, I want more of it. The general phrase is stay left of your customer, okay? Stay left of your customer. That's exactly what I did with Hannah in our little role play. Is she was saying disinterested. So guess what I did? I became even less interested than she was, and just to see what she would do. And very, like right on cue, she found a flaw with the program that otherwise she sounded extremely satisfied with. Staying left of your customers builds credibility. Because people expect you to be always trying to pull them towards your product. They don't expect you to be less enthusiastic about the product than they are. And the more they trust you, the more they will listen to you. So it's just like basic relationships. Like you don't treat your friends that way. And so don't treat your customers that way either, right? Just let them tell you what they're interested in.
Yeah. Good.
How do you have a way of remembering all this, or just constant like role playing, go through it until you remember it, or
so the 30-second commercial, we were talking about that I think when you joined, and I think Kim walked through a template that's really helpful just to get your thoughts together, but run the 30-second commercial over and over and over again so that it comes out very naturally.
I can send you that template, Hannah, so that you have it. Yeah, so you can work on your own 30-second commercial.
And with respect to the pain questions, which the hook line at the end of the 30-second commercial leads into the pain questions.
Okay.
Depending on how you learn, I'm not a big memorizer, so I don't do very well trying to memorize a list of questions. But I think after you run it through, role play a couple of times, maybe with your husband or with each other, you'll find it's actually a pretty natural progression of questions, and all it's doing is just drilling further and further to more personal questions, really. And incidentally, I didn't mention this, is you might actually have to run the pain funnel more than once. So, you know, for example, with Hannah, we figured out that vegan products was one of her pain areas. I might Holly, at the end of you getting to the end of the vegan thing, you might say, well, it sounds like, if I remember right, you were happy with everything else other than the vegan products. Is that right? And she might say, yeah. And then at that point you're done. Or she might also bring up something else, at which point you run the pain funnel on that point as well. And you understand then there's two things that are important to her.
Good.
Any other questions or anything else you want to cover?
I don't think so. This was good. Thanks, Paul. I'm gonna have to remember this. Practice.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it was great. Thank you, honey. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Well, this was a good call to get some good training. I can't wait to, I mean, I've started implementing this, and I've already seen some really good benefits. So I'll tell you, be practicing this and getting this down is really important. I think it's really key. So
I'm gonna need a lot of mind help to help me remember.
me too. Well, so yeah, so I'll actually send those charts out to you so that you can have those, so you can, you know, play with them, role play with, you know, your friends or your husband or whoever's willing to do it. So anyway, all right, well, we're going to jump on the next call, the team call at 8:30. So we got 15 minutes to break.
Oh yeah, sounds good.
All righty.
All right, see you then.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Hannah.